Yeah, okay. I'm Luis. I am a grantee from BDK. And today I'm going to present a Bitcoin node for every wallet for us as a chain source for BDK. So, what's the problem we have currently? Pretty much all the wallets rely on external services or servers to fetch wallet updates. Like, pretty much every wallet is going to use the default server that the developer sets, and they don't even think about it. And this is an issue because you're leaking your balance, transaction, and IP address. So, what is the solution? We can embed a node directly inside the wallet. So instead of making API calls to a server, you just query the network via your own node inside the wallet. So your query just appears regular P2P traffic on the network. And for us to run pretty much anywhere. I even managed to compile it to run on my router. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about Utrexo. So what's Utrexo? The main idea is you can compress the Utrexo set, make a very small representation of it. It's under 2 kilobytes by using Merkle trees. So today the Utrexo set is about 12 gigabytes, and if we see like Priestadog, it's gonna be even bigger. So the accumulator managed to compress that to log n of the Utrexo set size. Like today for mainnet, I think it's about 500 bytes, give or take. So why Utrexo? We have Utrexo size increase, synchronizing the nodes doing IBD is extremely disk intensive. So for every block you validate, you need to check your Utrexo set to check if the Utrexos are there. You have to read, write, and delete. So it's a very I/O intensive process. Utrexo fixes this because they compress the Utrexo set a lot. You don't need to do any DB lookups, pretty much no I/O. And any device can fit the accumulator. So this is the topology of the Utrexo network. We have regular Bitcoin full nodes, and then we need bridges, which generate inclusion proofs for the Utrexo set. And you have compact state nodes, so we call them CSNs. These are currently only have Foresto as a CSN and Utrexo D as a bridge. So how does Utrexo nodes do IBD? Regular Bitcoin Core nodes download the headers, they do header sync, they download every block, they validate every block, which means checking every input for inclusion on the Utrexo set. And then if you are spending the Utrexo, you need to delete it from the Utrexo set, and you need to write the new Utrexos to the set. So a lot of I/O. That's not interesting because it takes a long time, and you're like bottlenecked by disk speed. Utrexo downloads the header sync, they download every block, and the inclusion proofs for every Utrexo, every input from a bridge. So that causes you to have like about 70% bandwidth overhead. We can use TTLs, which are basically a new network message that tells you when the Utrexo is going to be spent. So you don't need to delete it and re-download the proof for it if you know when it's going to be spent. So if you set like 100 megabytes of cache, you can decrease the amount of bandwidth you download by 80%, give or take. Now I'm going to talk about a little bit about SwiftSync, which is an idea that Ruben Thompson had a few years ago, but nobody really implemented it until now. So, as I said before, regular IBD on Bitcoin Core and Floresta currently is not parallel. We have to download every block sequentially and validate it. So we are pretty much bound by how fast we can download and validate stuff. It's also very IO intensive. So the idea of SwiftSync is you have some program that generates a bitmap. So every UTXO ever created, every transaction output is represented by a bit in this bitmap. So the Genesis, the first output on the Genesis block is going to be bit 0. And then if it's spent, you represent it by 0. If it's not spent, you represent it with 1. So what does SwiftSync enables us to do? We can, instead of downloading every block sequentially, right into the UTXO set, deleting from the UTXO set, we can download blocks in parallel. We check the bitmap for whether it's spent or not. If it's spent, you don't do anything. If it's not spent, you write to the UTXO set. So you are only writing. You don't do queries and you don't delete. You have like extremely low RAM usage because we use a hash aggregate to represent what's spent or not. So only 32 bytes, it's nothing, and you can create like FPGAs that are specifically designed to do this. So the hash aggregate is just 32 bytes. You add spent outputs, and you subtract the inputs. If you reach the end of IBD, and the aggregate is 0, you are okay. You can verify that the IBD is actually correct and you didn't make a mistake. So SwiftSync IBD for every output. If the hint says unspent, you just write it to the UTXO set. If it's spent, you hash the out point and add to the aggregate. And for every input, you hash the out point and remove it. So if you create a UTXO, you add it to the aggregate, and then the UTXO is spent, and you remove it, you should be 0 at the end. No double spends, and the IBD is correct. So if you do SwiftSync and assume valid means you don't verify the scripts. You like assume every script as valid. You don't evaluate them. You don't need end data, and you don't use as much CPU. So we had a retreat for the UTXO and SwiftSync guys a few months ago, and we came up with the idea to merge them together. We can take the benefits of both and combine them. So if you just have UTXO, you need to download every inclusion flow for every block, which is about 70% more bandwidth necessary. And if you have UTXO and SwiftSync, you don't need to download the proofs anymore. So we don't rely on bridges for IBD anymore. You can parallelize the IBD. So right now in Floresta we have a draft PR implemented SwiftSync, and we can download blocks in parallel. Right now we are doing 20 minutes on Signet, so we can IBD very fast, like 1 hour and a half for mainnet. Now we have BDK Floresta. It's a project I've been working on. It aims to be a new chain source crate for BDK. So right now we have like Explora, we have Electron, we have Bitcoin RPC, which all rely on some external way of fetching data. So for Explora and Electron, you usually trust somebody else's server. Like if you use any wallet today, you're pretty much gonna use somebody else's server. You don't know who runs it necessarily. You don't know that the information is actually correct. And you also are leaking all your data, as I said before. You can see the repo here below. And I've also been developing a little side project which aims to showcase this new chain source crate. And it pretty much implements a node inside the application. And we can see all the node stats. You can do IBD, you can control the node, you can add peers, remove peers. It's fully configurable. Now I'm going to do a little demo of it. So here inside this application, you have a full node running. You can see the logs here. Here we're doing header sync. You can check your peers. You can toggle settings.
Nice UI. Nice UI.
Yes, 100% Rust. So now we are downloading blocks. You can see like the new blocks coming. You can request a block from the network to inspect it. So like block 50,000. You can see like the header. You can see all the transactions. And here you can see like the accumulator state. So this is the Utrexo accumulator. You can see the roots. And here you can have a QR code. So the idea is you can export validation that you do on one device to another. So let's say you have a node here on your computer that's fully synced to the tip, and you just downloaded a wallet in your phone. Instead of doing the whole IBD, you can export the state from your computer to your phone, since you already trust this one, because it's your computer, you know. So you just scan the QR code, and you're like synced up to tip. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So next steps, we need to merge SwiftSync in Floresta, which should happen pretty soon, in a few weeks. So mainnet support, it's going to happen on the next release, which is also going to happen soon. We need to have implement mempool support, so you need like have a full view of the mempool, cluster mempool. You can do like fee estimation directly from your device. You don't need to like query mempool.space or something. And do wallet integration. So the idea is like implement Utrexo in the wallets that already exist now. So Cove, Blue Wallet, Blue Bitcoin, Sparrow. Yeah.
For the hackathon, we built an audit app where we could we got the descriptor from a wallet, and then we checked the transaction history and understand like privacy gaps and vulnerabilities from someone. And to do that in a private way, we had to connect the owner that was running the app would have to connect to a Bitcoin Core node, for example. And one thing that we were talking here, and we don't know Floresta well enough to be completely sure, was would be possible for example, using Floresta embedded in this project. So we would use Floresta as a node to query the transaction history, to understand the graph of your transactions and UTXOs, or should we still do we still need full Bitcoin Core node?
Oh, you can do this with Floresta.
Yeah, with Floresta we could
Yeah.
query the specific transactions and UTXOs and blocks
Yeah.
to do this path finding, right?
Yeah, so there's two ways you can do this in Floresta. You can just download every block and check if your transaction is there. Or you can use CBF, compact block filters. So you take your scripted per keys, you pass it through a filter, and then you know which blocks you need to download.
Okay.
So
yeah, that's
just get what you
more or
need.
less what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Like doing wallet integrations is like something that you expect like to convince the like wallet maintainers to do, or your plan is like to like open PRs to all the wallets, because it looks like a big like lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. Like, I'm already in touch with a few other developers who are on board with the idea. We just need to consolidate more the infrastructure, have better support, but this should happen soon, like, this year.
Cool.
All right.
I have a question before you wrap up.
Yeah.
It's a basic question, maybe I have it twisted or something, but I have a basic understanding of UTXO from the lectures we had this week. So is it true that if I add a bunch of UTXOs and then remove and then add more, that would be different than only adding and not removing? Like, I'm not sure. Because if I have a Swift sync in one node and not in the other, will the result in UTXO be different?
No.
So the order doesn't matter.
Yeah, like the accumulator state has to be consistent. Like, doesn't depend on the IBD type you do, the process you do.
But the actual data on the computer will be different, right?
No.
Because as we add UTXOs to the data structure, I would think that removing them in the middle of the process would make it harder to have the same structure on someone who's adding the link, and someone who's only adding.
Yeah, so like when you do IBD with SwiftSync, when you know UTXO is going to be spent, you're going to add a leaf which is only zeros. So in the end, it's going to be the same accumulator state.
You still add a leaf?
Yeah, you add a leaf, but it's just zeros. That represents that it's spent in the end.